The president jets off tonight to Davos, Switzerland for the World Economic Forum. But before he goes, he's taking aim at Senator Chuck Schumer over stalled immigration negotiations. Yesterday, the Democratic minority leader said that he was withdrawing his offer to fully fund the president's border wall. Schumer had initially agreed to consider the president's demand in exchange for protections for dreamers. Well, the decision sparked this response from the president on Twitter, crying Chuck Schumer fully understands, especially after his humiliating defeat, that if there is no wall, there is no DACA. So, I mean, we've heard it from Democrats saying that it didn't look well for Schumer with this whole talk on getting the government up and running. So Schumer taking the wall funding off the table, do you believe that this is just a way to appeal to that angry base?
I think it's step one, but the base is going to remain angry until there is a deal. And that's been the remarkable thing that some Democrats, including Schumer and Luis Gutierrez, who's a big, actually, opponent of the wall, a Democrat from Illinois who may run for president, he flipped and he said, OK, if you give us dreamers, I'll give you the wall, even though I think the wall is a bad idea. That did not sit well with a lot in the base. And so I think that if we ever have a deal, I think the wall would have to be included in it. But I mean, Rena, Congress has been debating immigration reform for over a decade. They've gotten close a couple times. So to think that there's going to be some type of major deal over the next several weeks, I don't think that's going to happen. It's just a question of whether they can ever get a deal, especially this year in such a volatile election year.
You know, you say you don't see this happening, and you explain just how complex this is of trying over decades to get some sort of a deal here. So how do you see all this playing out if the Democratic leader and the president are exactly back to square one as they were before the shutdown?
Well, I don't think there's going to be any more shutdowns, certainly when this funding bill expires in February, because Democrats have said that wasn't a winning strategy. Behind the scenes, we've talked to a lot of Democratic senators who were not happy with Senator Schumer. Now, but eventually, if Congress keeps punting, and that's what Congress is very good at, then that could change the equation, and maybe there is another shutdown. But I don't think you're going to see a shutdown again anytime soon, at least until early March, when that's the real dreamer deadline. But this is going to be so complicated, and maybe something gets out of the Senate. But will Paul Ryan bring it to the House floor? That's highly suspect.
Yeah, you know, I want to ask you about that. Your newspaper, The Hill, is reporting that the House Freedom Caucus is actually urging Speaker Paul Ryan to bring a tougher border enforcement bill to the floor. How do you think that battle is going to be complicated in the House?
Rena, it's all about leverage. If the House can move an immigration bill, as you said, a tougher immigration bill than it's being discussed now in the Senate, well, then that would give leverage, because they could say, well, we did it. And that was why it was so important for the House to actually pass that funding bill and kick it over to the Senate. And then Democrats were a bit on defense. The problem here for Paul Ryan and the Republicans is that there are going to be a lot of Democrats, if not all of them, that would oppose that hardline deal. And there are many moderate Republicans, about 3 dozen, who want a dreamer deal. So can an immigration bill pass the House? I don't think so. The votes aren't there right now. So if something passes the Senate, then the pressure will be on Ryan. And obviously, the Freedom Caucus does not want to just rubber stamp anything that comes out of the Senate.
I want to move on from immigration and this talk also to ask you about the president, who said he's not concerned about special counsel Robert Mueller interviewing Jeff Sessions, the attorney general. But do you think that Republicans should be concerned about this investigation, especially the longer it heads towards midterms?
Yes, they are concerned behind closed doors, just because it has now gone into the election year. When it will end, nobody really knows. I think that politically, Robert Mueller has to be thinking along these lines. I don't think you can wrap it up right before the election. I think that would look too political. So I think that now that he is wanting to he's talked to Sessions and now wants to talk to the president, the Washington Post reported, I think now they've got to be very concerned. And but what Mueller has, we still don't know a lot of what he has. What Flynn has told him. Were there any wires put on people? This is something Republicans want wrapped up very soon. I don't think it's going to be wrapped up very soon.
And you know, as this is all moving forward, Bob, Republican lawmakers are raising concerns about the FBI, their credibility, these missing text messages, the memo reportedly showing abuse. How do you think that these FBI storylines will impact the Mueller investigation?
Well, there's no doubt about it that the FBI is under assault like it's never been, and some of it is on its own doing, and some of it is certainly being in the political sphere of investigations, and that always gets political. So I think that the Christopher Wray, who heads the FBI, reportedly he was thinking about stepping aside because his agency has been assaulted by the president and others in Congress. So I think it's a very volatile time, and I just think some big resignation, maybe it's Wray or maybe something else, is going to happen because FBI agents don't like when their bureau is being attacked. However, losing 5 months of text messages, that's a big embarrassment, and it feeds into the line that they're not doing a good job.
Yeah. Before you go, Bob, I want to ask you about the president who heads to Davos tonight. Something that caught our attention was that his chief strategist, economic advisor, Gary Cohn, in the White House briefing yesterday, used this line, America first, but not alone. And we've seen the president threaten to pull out of these trade agreements, various deals. What does the White House hope to accomplish during this trip?
I think, number one, they want to tout their first year, and that's something that the President Trump does a lot. He's touting what he's done in his first year, his policies, and also his America First. But it was very interesting, that line from Gary Cohn yesterday at the briefing, that okay, it is America First, but we can work with you. We're interested in renegotiating NAFTA, which is a big topic on trade right now. There are going to be a lot of skeptical people in the audience, but I think that Trump wants to sell, hey, let's strike a new deal on NAFTA and some other trade issues, and you can work with us, but they're not going to abandon America First, that's for sure.
Bob Cusack with The Hill. Thanks for joining us, Bob.
Thanks, Rena.